Wake up in the morning.
Wake up, Atlanta. It's time for coffee. Talk presented by Spotify. Fresh vibes, real talk.
Let's get started, shall we? Yeah.
We live. We live. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another exciting podcast, radio show, morning show, whatever you want to call this thing, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You guys are tuned in to, of course, Coffee Talk, presented by and powered by Spotify. Boy howdy, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our I try to do a weekly morning radio show. We missed that on yesterday simply because we wanted to make sure that you guys got fed with what had happened was episode podcast, if you will. New episode of that is available right now on any audio platforms you get your podcast from. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. Great morning. If you've got your coffee in your offices or in your car, wherever you getting ready to get your coffee from, whether if you go to Starbucks, you go to McDonald's, you go to Dunkin'. We hope that everyone is ready for another exciting Tuesday. Good morning. Very, very excited for this episode. Like I mentioned, I'm proud to be back here on our hit morning show. We did miss Monday yesterday simply because we wanted to upload What Had Happened Was podcast officially back. Me and my girl Evelyn, we are officially back within our new episode. So again, guys, check out the newest episode. Is available right now on any audio platform you get your podcast from, and also on our Instagram at WHHW Radio 1, as well as Facebook at What Had Happened Was podcast. Let me tell you something. I am really, really happy about just the outcome of that show. You guys have made that show possible. You guys have made sure that all of our shows run smoothly, and that's all the grace of you guys. But you guys have been very, very impactful, and I am thankful for you guys' support with all our shows, but with that show in particular, because Evelyn, she comes into the studio and she makes us look good. She really do. So this one goes out to you. Shout out to you. So we hope that everyone's ready for another exciting packed show this morning. We got a great one. We are here in the radio station early. It's colder than a witch's titty out there. It's so cold. So I do say to a lot of people, please stay safe, stay warm. We do got this weird cold front coming in. And I say it's weird, ladies and gentlemen, simply because last week we've experienced 75 to 78 degree weather around this time last week. So we thought that okay, spring is coming, spring's on its way here. It is one of those things that is happening, it's on its way here, but nope, that's not the case. We end up getting back to winter. So I do say to a lot of people, please be careful, because wind chills will knock your winds out. There's no lie, yesterday I was feeling okay, I wasn't sick, but like I had to go through building to building yesterday. And again, just like the wind, when the wind blows onto your face, it blows really, really heavy, and you lose sort of breath. You do. So I do say to a lot of people, stay safe. Please wear coats, wear scarves, wear a beanie. If you're a beanie type of person, please stay warm, because that cold front, it will hit you. It will hurt. It kind of hurt for me. My face was hurting yesterday because it was just that wind just blowing right in your face. So I do say that to say, stay safe out there. That we've got some, I guess people are calling it. I'm calling it fake spring. Is what we had last week, because it was just perfect weather. And you guys know, with my car is a drop top, so I just had to drop top. I was zipping through, 70-degree weather. It felt great. Wasn't doing that yesterday on Monday because it was just really that cold. But very, very excited for this. Now, we do, like I say, I do have a packed show. I do got some things I got to talk about, but I have to talk about this new microphone that we're talking on right now. Special thanks and shout out to Shure. Shure is a company that we've been looking at them for a while. With most of our equipment, we are partnered up with Rode, because Rode helped us out with a lot of our podcast equipment. But Shure saw this show and Shure said, "Hey, I think we've got a microphone that might be suited for this show." They shipped us a microphone for me. It is the MV6 microphone. Usually, this microphone is good for gaming. A lot of gamers use this. We're using it for the radio show because, they shipped this out and they say, "Hey, try this." And I think this is going to be the new mic for Coffee Talk. I love it. I love the stand that we have it on. It's just really, really nice microphone. Shure is actually pretty good. And honestly, besides doing all of the radio shows, I am a technician. I am an audio engineer as well. So I do work with a lot of microphones, Rode and Shure. I do, when I'm outside doing technician or audio work, I am working mostly with Shure stuff. So I'm very, very happy about this microphone that got shipped for K.L.P Entertainment Filmworks for our show. And of course, now available to get invested. Of course, Simone will be using Shure. Rachel and Cera, they're also using Shure microphones too. So I am very, very excited. Not to say that Rode, because Rode, I know I'm sure Rode, our partners at Rode, they're probably watching the show. Of course, we do use Rode for What Had Happened Was and other content, but Shure will be the official company we're using those type of mics for Coffee Talk presented by Spotify. Very, very partnership. We don't really diversify. We diversify, but we don't stick to one partnership. We stick to multiple. We are that type of company where when we have a sponsorship come in, I don't say, okay, I'm all in for Rode. I'm not going to buy anything else. I'm not going to get anything. I'm not going to get sponsored for anybody else but Rode. I do love Rode, but I love Shure because they make some good quality products as well. So we've got the new Shure MV6 microphone for us, and hopefully when we're editing and you guys listening to this episode on the audio version of it, and if you're watching the video version, thank you, because you guys get to hear the audio. And this microphone is compatible with open broadcast systems. Yes, I do use open broadcast systems to help record our shows. That's just one thing we do. I do use OBS when it comes down to production style of the show. I just think the recording style, and of course, Motive Mix is Shure's audio interface that you could download for free and get it. You could record there that way too. But since we are a video podcast as well, we've got OBS, we got cameras, we got lights, we got everything hooked up. This setup just works for us for K.L.P Entertainment Live. So very, very excited. Sure, thank you so very much for this microphone. I can't wait to continue doing this radio show with this microphone. So now I've got some topics to talk about this morning. Like I say, it is Tuesday. It is a fantastic day. Besides it being cold, we were able to get some sunshine. So I'm thanking God for that, because we had some great, great sunshine. So over this past weekend, I think Friday, this news broke out with IGN, and I saw a lot of YouTubers. They were talking about this content. They were talking about what's happening. And I know I might be a little late. Coffee Talk, we might be a little late to the game, boy. Boy, howdy. This has been controversial. This has been something that a lot of podcasters, a lot of content creators, they a lot of people had a lot to say about this, Hope and Simone and audience. So if you guys don't know, Xbox, Xbox have been shifting some stuff around, and it just got us so giddy. A lot of YouTubers, IGN broke this story, and I've been watching a lot of YouTube content creators talking about this story. Now, Phil Spencer has been a long time, about 10 years, the head of Xbox. Uh, Phil Spencer will, as of yesterday, so this was yesterday because this morning's Tuesday, but as of yesterday, Phil Spencer will enter his retirement. Of course, Phil Spencer has been the CEO of Xbox for about 10 years or so, right? He did start working with Xbox back in 1988 as an intern. He was interning for Xbox internally. And of course, with the gaming, and, he's been doing his thing. Of course, he became CEO of Xbox for years, right? Now, I will say, nowadays, Xbox hasn't been doing so well. I will say that. Now, I'm more of a PlayStation player. I gotta say it. I love Xbox. I remember back in 2016 when I first got the Xbox One. And I just out of the whim just bought an Xbox One console. I still actually do have it in my house, that console. I don't play it because it broke. You know, when you try to plug it up, it smokes a lot. So it's in archive, it's in my storage in my house. I just don't play that anymore because it just doesn't work anymore. But I remember when my first big console besides my PlayStation 3 was my Xbox One, and I had a lot of great games that I bought for it. And I was big into Xbox. I genuinely do like Xbox. And me and my little brother, we had an Xbox 360 when we were kids. So we know about Xbox. I've been playing Xbox. I just been more of the Sony. I've been more of a PlayStation player now because I've been a Sony guy. Um, so it's bittersweet for Phil Spencer to enter his retirement. We all know that Sarah Bond, she's been grooming, she's president of Xbox. She's been grooming to take over Phil Spencer's spot when he got ready to retire. And he's been saying to Satya Nadella is the big boss of Microsoft. He's the CEO of Microsoft. So he's the big boss. I gotta say, there's something funky going on with Xbox. I gotta say that because honestly, I'm also CEO of my own company. You don't just enter retirement out of the blue. I will say that. I think some funny shit was going on with Xbox, and Phil Spencer had the option to say, okay, Satya and shareholders say, okay, Phil, you either retire and you get your pension, or we just gonna have to fire you and you don't get that much. I don't believe the BS when they say Phil Spencer was just thinking about retirement. It's just time. You don't just retire out of the blue mid February when you got the next quarter, first quarter coming up for Xbox. You don't do it. Sarah Bond is out of Xbox. She quit. Here's what I think happened. A lot of YouTubers, a lot of broadcasters, a lot of radio people, we've been saying it. We because I've been on the forums, I've been on Reddit, I've been on Twitter with a lot of other because I follow a lot of other radio personalities, and they're saying the same thing. What I think happened was Phil Spencer had the alternative. He had the alternative to either say, okay, I'm going to retire or I'm going to get fired. I don't get a whole lot if I get fired. Causing that to happen, Sarah Bond was told, no, you will not be the next CEO of Xbox. After she got told no from maybe Satya Nadella, maybe some of the shareholders, she said, bunk y'all, forget y'all. I want to say the other word, but we try to keep PG on the show. She said, forget y'all, I quit, is what I think happened. And that's why Sarah Bond is no longer with Xbox as president of Xbox. And let me tell you something. And I'm just gonna say this, how I feel about this next thing. Now, I'm all for women coming up into the ranks. I'm all for women coming up and being the next big boss of something. I cherish that. I applaud that. I'm here for that, and I really am proud of that. What I'm not really too proud of, the person that they picked to be the big boss of Xbox. Her name is Asha Shawarma, and there's nothing against her as being a woman and a lead, a big boss in something like this. There's nothing wrong with that. Asha Shawarma, her background, she was head of AI for Microsoft. And let me tell you, I'm all for AI when it comes down to it. If you guys know, you know, K.L.P Entertainment Film Works, we are dabbling in AI in some of our products. We are. I'm not, that's no secret. There's something that I've been saying for months now. We are dabbling in AI with some of our products that we have for you guys for K.L.P Entertainment Film Works. We've been working on AI. But Asha Shawarma has no background in gaming, right? Phil Spencer is a gamer. If you look at Phil Spencer's gamer tag, if you follow Phil Spencer and you look at his gamer tag, he's got some badges, some achievements because Phil Spencer, on his free time, obviously he's playing Xbox games because he has to test these games, but he is a hardcore gamer, right? He is. I think Xbox should have picked somebody who has a gaming background, right? I get it. Asha Shawarma's coming from AI. She's the corporo business type, and I get it. Maybe that might be something that Xbox is looking for. Like, hey, we're gonna leave out the gamers and we need corporate people in there. But let me tell you why that doesn't work. It doesn't work because they're not relatable to the fan base, right? There's been this thing where Asha Shawarma, I think the allegations out that she's using AI to control her Twitter. She's trying to follow all these gamers, trying to relate to the gamers. You're kind of late to the game, girl. You're kind of late to it because you've never been a gamer. So now all of a sudden, now you want to be this gamer. Now you want to come out and be this gamer for your fan base to get the audience back up. I think it's a little too late for that, right? I don't know how it's going to be because Xbox did the rumor has it that Xbox was going to do this thing where they're working on a hybrid console type thing with their next console, their next concept for Xbox, right? I don't know how that's going to work because you already have all these big players like Razer and I'm trying to because again I'm not a PC player, but Razer, Dell, Intel. You've got all of these computer companies that are making gaming PCs already. So now Xbox is trying to dabble into the PC world. We'll see how that works, right? I think it was a good idea. Phil Spencer spearheaded Game Pass. And when I first saw Game Pass and had Game Pass, the price was right because I used my iPad and my MacBook as an Xbox. Back when Game Pass was $10 a month. Now, Game Pass Master tier is $30 a month. I think that's a little steep. That's why a lot of people are like, okay, that's $30 a month. That's a lot to some people. Um, I think Satya Nutella, he's the CEO of Microsoft, folks. I think he wants to get rid of Xbox. I really do. I think he wants to dabble so much into AI, and he wants Microsoft to be the software company, right? I think he wants to say bunk Xbox. He wants to get rid of the whole Xbox franchise. Is what I think Satya Nutella wants to do. Honestly, I really do because when he makes his email, he's saying gaming. He's not saying Xbox in his email. He said for the gaming part of piece of it. It tells you that, and because Asha Shawarma did it too. Hey, the gaming community. I think when they use the word gaming, and along with Matt Booty too, I think they're so tone deaf to us gamers and us players. Honestly. Again, it's no shame on Asha Shawarma's coming up as CEO of Xbox. I applaud women empowerment. I really do. But I just don't think she's the right fit because she's not a gamer. I think they're going to be tone deaf to the players, right? She'll say it. It's corporal talk that she'll say, hey, I'm going to give back to the players. We're going to, as we're shifting this new generation, this new era, I'm going to make sure that I put the players first. Okay. You're saying what you're supposed to say corporate, right? Again, I'm a CEO too, and I've got 2 business degrees. I can tell, ladies and gentlemen, corporal talk from actual talk. And based off the emails that I've read from Matt Booney, Asha Shawarma, and Satya Nutella, it's all corporate. It's corporate, 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 corporate. And hey, you're doing whatever Satya Nutella tell you. You're doing what the man tell you to say. So I get it. Um, I think it's bittersweet. I really do. I'm very sad for Sarah Bond, and let me tell you why I'm sad for Sarah Bond. Sarah Bond has been the president of Xbox for a while, and she's been grooming to be the next person to take the helm of things. She's been in a lot of press runs. She's been all over the country and all over the world campaigning for new games. She's been campaigning heavy for Call of Duty games. She's been campaigning heavy for the Xbox studios. She's been traveling all over the nation to get get these games and these studios sold to people and get it in people's hands. She's been grooming for that lead spot. I think Sarah Bond was jibbed. I think she was sucker punched out of a good position. I think I will say this. I think Sarah Bond will land on her feet. I think she will find some other things. I would not be surprised if both Phil Spencer or Sarah Bond go over to either Nintendo or Sony, right? If I was Sony or PlayStation, I would say, okay, Sarah Bond, let's look at your resume. You want to come over to Sony? You want to come to the Blue brand? We'll try to see what you fit in, right? We'll try to see what's going to happen. If you be the next CEO of Sony, PlayStation, let's see what you can bring to the table. I think it's a wonderful idea because let me tell you why. Competition is great. And I think it'd be a funny idea if, for some reason, and this is just my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, if Sarah Bond became CEO of PlayStation, now you got Sarah Bond versus Asha Shawarma, right? CEO of Xbox versus CEO of Sony. I think that will be funny as hell. There's going to be a lot of memes. There's going to be a lot of WrestleMania moments, quote unquote. Again, not really WrestleMania moments, but I think it's going to be funny if you saw both of them take the helm of things to see which woman leads the best brand. Will that happen? I don't know. I think Sarah Bond, she's going to land on her feet somewhere. I just think I feel bad for her. I really feel bad for Sarah Bond because honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I honestly will say I think she got jibbed. I think she got sucker punched. I think she got diluted, and I think she got shitted on really, really heavy from Xbox. I really do. Phil Spencer, I think he also got shitted on, and honestly, he did come in at a rough time, right? He came in when they announced Xbox One, and Xbox One wasn't the greatest, right? Back when Xbox One catered so much to television, and they brought the Kinect, and they brought all these mediocre plain things when it come to Xbox, and Phil Spencer had to clean that shit up. So he didn't really get the greatest him of things, but Phil Spencer, I think, is a smart way for him to say, okay, I'm retiring. I'm sure he's gonna get on these podcast shows, these radio shows, and I'm sure he's gonna spill the beans when he's not in an NDA. And that's the one thing that you haven't seen from Phil Spencer or Sarah Bond. They probably also had to sign NDAs because NDAs are very important. When you sign an NDA, it's you got to keep it because you get sued. And Phil Spencer said, okay, I'll just retire because I want my 10-year pension. I want my stocks and bonds because I gave this company 10 years. So if I was Phil Spencer, I would say, okay, I'll just retire, right? Because I get more stuff when I retire versus me getting fired. Um, and a lot of people will say, and I'll wrap this part up. A lot of people did ask, do because a lot of people ask me, do I think Xbox is dead? I don't think it's dead necessarily. I'm very curious to see what Asha Shawarma does with the next generation console of Xbox. And it's not to say that the Series S and X wasn't bad. They're good consoles. I even thinking about buying a console just for shits and giggles. But Xbox Series X and X, they're not bad consoles. They're not bad consoles. The 4K resolution, 60 frames per second, controllers. I like it when they had the Xbox Lab where you can create your own controller. I still got my own Xbox created K.L.P Entertainment controller in the house, right? So I don't think it's dead necessarily. I just don't. I hope that she don't talk so much AI because that's her background is AI. I hope she caters to the gamers. I really do. I can't wait to see what happens next when it comes down to the next iteration of Xbox. Do I think it's dead? Not necessarily. I think they're still plummeting. I think they're still losing money, but we'll have to wait and see what happens when it comes down to it. We just have to. So before I turn things over to Simone, the remaining of the show of Coffee Talk presented by Spotify. Like I say, if you're just now joining us, we are Coffee Talk. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a wonderful Tuesday. Before we know it, March will be here before we know it. March is, I think it's this Sunday. I think it's this Sunday. So we hope that everyone's getting ready for March. I hope that we get more warm weather. I do say to a lot of people, I said at the beginning of the show, please stay warm because it's colder than a witch's titty out there. It's cold. That wind, let me tell you, yesterday I'm walking through that wind, hit you in the face. It hurts. So I wanted to talk about this thing because I've got some I had my doubts, and hence the title of this whole episode. My so the true story, my true thoughts about Greek life. So recently, I've been seeing a lot on Instagram of lot of the AKAs, the Delta Phi Epsilon, Delta Phi Psi. Please forgive me if I'm butchering these sororities and fraternities wrong. AKA. Um, and I also was working, did an event where a lot of Greek life came and they did a Greek life event. And I'm here to say, at first, I didn't know too much about Greek life, right? I thought Greek life was so stuck up at first. And I thought that they were mean people. And I felt that Greek life they felt more entitled, is what I initially thought when I was younger, right? But now, as I'm seeing it on social media from different universities and different organizations, again, obviously you see it more in universities, but I'm seeing it all over Georgia in general. There's a lot of schools that have Greek life. There are some schools that are just now building Greek life. And now I get it. I understand. I think it's really, really cool. And as I am growing up and got a little bit older, I'm actually technically in a Greek organization. I am in Omega Lambda, uh, excuse me, Omega Phi Lambda Society with my graduate school that I went to. Um, that organization is really good, and really what that is, it's kind of like a Greek life, but it caters more to people who made straight A's in their graduate program, to which I did when I got my master's degree. And that's really good to be a part of something like that. And I understand now I understand why people do it, and it's really a brotherhood. Yeah, I got to say, for me, a brotherhood, and for the ladies, it is a sisterhood. I think it's very, very important that universities are building Greek life. I can't wait to see it because I've seen it not only in Kennesaw, not only in Emory and Georgia State, but now I'm seeing it in my alma mater, Georgia Gwinnett College, where they're they're just got chartered with AKA, if I'm not mistaken, and it's been blowing up. Of course, I'm hearing rumblings. I'm hearing rumblings that Delta Phi Epsilon, they're trying to get a charter there at GGC. Is what I hear. So I hope that they go far with that. Because you do want more of a brotherhood and a sisterhood when it comes down to it. Because let me tell you, and this is just a keynote to every university out there in the world, you want Greek life in your universities, because let me tell you, if you form a brotherhood and a sisterhood in your university, that's student retention. When you have student retention and you have a lot of people that want to participate in Greek life, then they're going to want to go to your school and study to get their degrees at at your university. Now, I'm here to say I am not a sponsor of GGC, but I am alumni, so I've got to say it because I am a cold-hearted, a good-hearted alumni. To everybody out there in Georgia, please come to GGC because they are building a more charter sororities and fraternities for you to join, and GGC is awesome. Again, for the sisterhood, the ladies. I'm hearing they're working on Delta Phi Epsilon. I understand it. I like the Greek life. I like the responsibility that comes with it. I like the media attention that they have. I like the clubs. I like the different events that they do. Right. I like the signs that they do, the sound effects they do, the step dancing that they do. It is quite amazing, and I'm here for it. I'm here for students having another outlet for universities. I always tell students, and I used to tell students back when I worked deeper in education, more so the residential department I worked in for months, for a couple of months, and I just said no. Um, and it wasn't because of the students; it was because of toxic work environment. Besides the point, I would tell students that college is the best thing that you can do. And I get it. Sometimes I gotta say it, college is not for everybody because it is not for everybody. But when you have the opportunity to go to college, um, I say to a lot of people, enjoy it. Whether you're living on campus, whether you're joining Greek life or any type of student run organization, enjoy that moment. Because let me tell you, once you graduate, you can still be an alumni and still have ways to kind of give back to your school and be on the alumni board and just kind of do some of these events. But then again, you are grown, so you do have full-time jobs, you have full-time commitments. Some of my friends that I graduated with, they have kids, they're married, they have full-time jobs. You grow up and you reminisce the times that you were an RA or you've had a student run organization. I here to say, and you guys know it, I was back in my college days, I was an RA. I did production for our athletic teams. And I also formed the first ever podcast at GGC. That was an RSO back when I was a student. So those were my proudest moments because now, about, let's see, I graduated in 2020. So about what, 7 years later now, I'm still podcasting more of a professional level now, but I'm still doing radio because it all started in college. I'm still doing a little bit of production on the side because I did it in college, right? And the one thing that I wish I would have done because I see it now. I see it all over in the universities in the world. I wish that they had Greek life when I was in college. Now at GGC is ever growing, and I can't wait until it becomes a bigger university because it is a big university now. I can't wait until it becomes even bigger. I wish GGC had sorority fraternities back when I was in college because we would have been lit, but we didn't have it founded. It wasn't chartered back then. So I do say to everybody, join Greek life. If you go to GGC, join Greek life at GGC. But if you do not go to GGC, if you're going to a different school in Georgia, join Greek life. It is. I think it's fun. I've seen it. And I love it. I love the style of it. I love the idea of it. I like the brotherhood. I like the sisterhood. And I will say this too, because I was like this when I was in college. When I started college, I did not know where to go. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. I was just kind of dropped off of college and say, hey, figure it out, right? There's going to come a moment where I've seen students where they just get dropped off for college and they have to figure the whole shit out, right? And once they figure that whole thing out, they get stuck. So then they start joining clubs, they're starting joining Greek life, and then they become better, right? That's why I say I'm changing my mind about Greek life. Back when I was a little bit younger, I used to say, Greek life, ugh. But now I'm like, okay, I get it. I understand it now because you have people that start college don't know what to do because they might have got dropped off. They might have had some financial aid issues where they can't really cover half their courses because life be life, and they find resources, and that's the resources for Greek life. So shout out to the Greek life fraternities and sororities out there in the world. I get it. I understand it, guys. I totally get it. Now I'm going to turn it over to Simone, and I'm going to wrap up the show with the ending on Coffee Talk presented by Spotify. Take it away, Simone.
Wake up, y'all! It is now time for the front page news of the day on Coffee Talk presented by Spotify. Yeah.
Good morning, Kennedy. And happy Tuesday, everyone. Here's the front page news. T.I. and 50 Cent have been at odds on social media since their possible matchup on Versus recently fell through. T.I. has already dropped another diss track aimed at 50 Cent following the release of War on Sunday night. Taking to social media on Monday afternoon, he posted a snippet of the song, Right One. Now say some else. He captioned the track. 50 Cent and T.I. have been trading shots on social media for several days now over a potential Versus match between them that fell through. Appearing on a recent episode of $1 Million Worth of Game, T.I. blamed 50 for the situation now panning out and remarked that he lost respect for him. In response, 50 Cent has been trolling him all over social media. Weeks ago, some of hip-hop and its most recognizable adjacent artists gathered at Mar-a-Lago. Sexy Red, 50 Cent, Robin Thicke, Amber Rose, and more attended a wedding celebration for an advisor to President Donald Trump, appearing comfortably within the orbit of a political figure whose policies remain deeply controversial in Black and immigrant communities. Earlier, Nicki Minaj publicly called Trump her favorite president and was photographed holding his hand. During that time, a different set of images circulated. Federal immigration enforcement operations in Minneapolis left U.S. citizens dead. Civil rights investigations opened, and residents filled the streets in protest. The Jeffrey Epstein files resurfaced conversations about power, exploitation, and the protection of the wealthy and politically connected, including Trump's name in long-disputed documents. Both realities existed simultaneously. Some artists have used award stages and interviews to speak directly about immigration enforcement, incarceration, and violence at the hands of the state. Others have chosen alignment with political power. At the same time, a familiar refrain resurfaces whenever rappers address policy, and it usually lands as "keep politics out of music." Separate the art from the artist. Stay in your lane. In hip-hop, that separation has never been clean. The culture was born from over-policing and economic abandonment. It did not emerge as neutral entertainment. It arose because the communities that built it were shaped by legislation, housing policy, the expansion of the criminal justice system, and federal neglect. Early songs were political records. They translated policy into lived consequences. That makes this moment, in history and in music, more than just celebrity optics. As several mainstream artists publicly align with political leadership whose policies directly affect the communities that created hip-hop, another narrative quietly gains traction that the genre itself is not inherently political. Its protest roots are being framed as incidental rather than foundational. Rappers should be entertainers first and citizens second. Hip-hop has always been political because the conditions that produced it were political. Attempts to detach the culture from that truth do not neutralize it. They rewrite it. In the 1970s, the Bronx was burning. Redlining hollowed neighborhoods, and public schools were crumbling. It was a time when policing intensified and media coverage reduced entire communities to statistics. Young Black and Latino kids built a culture out of turntables, block parties, and discarded sound systems because no one else was coming. That act alone was political. When Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five released The Message in 1982, it was not framed as activism. They were reporting on the very neighborhoods they lived in. Broken glass everywhere was not a metaphor, but a description. The record forced Middle America to hear what it had chosen to ignore. Soon, Public Enemy was addressing police violence and a distortion of Black history in white spaces. NWA did not write a polite editorial when they recorded Fuck the Police. They documented a relationship between law enforcement and Black communities that many Americans insisted did not exist. None of this was partisan because it was a lived reality on wax. Artists continued to narrate what policy papers refused to humanize. Tupac Shakur wrote about poverty and systemic neglect with the urgency of someone inside it. Dead Prez named the prison industrial complex directly. Lauryn Hill framed miseducation as spiritual violence. The culture did not become political when someone recorded a protest anthem. It was political the moment marginalized youth decided their reality deserved amplification.
Turn it up. They shoot. They score. Top of the hour sports talk on Coffee Talk. Presented by Spotify.
We back.
We don't give a fuck.
Good morning, folks. Happy Tuesday. Okay, Cera, so here's something wild. Team USA's basketball squad in the 2024 Olympics had an average age of 30.1 years, making it the oldest roster in their history, and they still managed to bring home the gold.
That's incredible, especially considering how intense those games were. Serbia and France really pushed them to the edge, and yet they found a way to pull through. But now, the big question is, what's next for USA basketball?
Exactly, the Paris Olympics were a defining moment, but they also marked the end of an era in some ways. LeBron James and Steph Curry are likely done with international play, and Kevin Durant, who's already a legend with 4 gold medals, is talking about coming back for 2028. At 37, that's no small commitment.
Durant's passion is undeniable, though. When he said, "Hell yeah, I want to play," you could feel how much it means to him. But it's not just about showing up for him. He wants to prove he can still contribute at the highest level. That kind of drive is rare.
It really is. But Durant aside, USA Basketball is facing a huge transition. Grant Hill, the managing director, has some tough decisions ahead. Losing players like LeBron and Steph leaves a massive void, not just in terms of talent, but also leadership. And then there's the question of how to integrate the next generation of stars.
That's where it gets tricky, doesn't it? The 2024 roster leaned heavily on experience, but that's not sustainable long term. You've got young players like Cade Cunningham already raising their hands for 2028, and it feels like the team is on the verge of a generational shift.
Absolutely, and Cade Cunningham is such an exciting prospect. He's already being talked about as a potential MVP in the NBA, and his desire to represent Team USA is clear. But it's not just about individual talent. It's about building a cohesive team that can handle the unique challenges of international play.
That's so true. International basketball is a completely different game. It's not just about having the best players, it's about having the right players who can work together. That's why Devin Booker's transformation into a defensive specialist in 2024 was so important. He adapted his game to fit the team's needs, and it made a huge difference.
And speaking of adapting, how about Jason Tatum's situation in Paris? Being left out of the rotation must have been tough for him, especially since he's such a talented player. But it highlighted the importance of finding the right fit. If Tatum can fully recover from his Achilles injury and adjust his game, he could be a key piece for 2028.
Definitely. And then there's the question of whether to prioritize the best individual players or the best fit for the team. In Paris, they went with the latter approach, and it paid off. But it's not an easy decision to make, especially when you're dealing with so much talent.
It's a good problem to have, though, isn't it? The depth of talent in American basketball is incredible. Beyond Durant, Edwards, Adebayo and Booker, there's a whole wave of young players ready to step up. The challenge will be identifying who's ready for the spotlight and who can handle the pressure of representing their country on the biggest stage.
And let's not forget the international competition. Teams like Serbia and France are no joke. Jokic and Wembanyama are generational talents, and they're only going to get better. The gap between Team USA and the rest of the world is shrinking, which makes the next few years so critical for USA basketball.
That's a great point. The rest of the world isn't intimidated by Team USA anymore. They're coming in with confidence and a belief that they can win. That's why the decisions made over the next 28 months are so important. By the time the 2028 Olympics roll around in Los Angeles, Team USA will need to be at their absolute best.
And what a moment that will be, hosting the Olympics on home soil. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for many of these players. The pressure will be immense, but so will the motivation to perform in front of their home crowd.
It's going to be incredible, but before we get there, there's so much to look forward to. The 2027 FIBA World Cup in Qatar will be a big test for the next generation of players. It's been a while since the US won that tournament, so it'll be interesting to see how they approach it.
Absolutely. The World Cup will be a great opportunity to experiment with different lineups and give younger players a taste of international competition. It's all part of the process of building a team that can compete for gold in 2028.
And let's not forget about the coaching transition. Erik Spoelstra taking over from Steve Kerr is a big deal. Spoelstra has experience with international play, having been on Kerr's staff in 2024. But stepping into the head coach role comes with its own set of challenges.
Spoelstra is such a smart coach, though. He's shown time and again with the Miami Heat that he knows how to get the best out of his players. If anyone can navigate this transition period, it's him. But he'll need support from Hill and the rest of the USA basketball leadership.
Agreed. It's going to take a collective effort to maintain Team USA's dominance in international basketball. The landscape is changing and they'll need to adapt to stay on top. But if there's one thing we've learned from the 2024 Olympics, it's that this team has the talent and determination to rise to the occasion.
No doubt about it. The road to 2028 is going to be fascinating to watch. From the roster decisions to the international competition, there's so much to look forward to. And who knows, maybe we'll see Durant add another gold medal to his collection.
Wouldn't that be something? Whatever happens, one thing's for sure. The journey is going to be just as exciting as the destination. I can't wait to see how it all unfolds.
Same here. It's going to be a wild ride, and I'm here for it.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Boy, howdy. We hope that you guys enjoyed this packed show here today. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're watching it on our YouTube and Facebook over at K.L.P. Entertainment Filmworks. And also, if you're listening to us via Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and so much more, Pandora by SiriusXM, we thank you guys so very much, along with Amazon Music and Audible. We keep this show going for you guys because you guys love it. I can't wait for Apple Podcasts, because me and Evelyn, on what happened was, we talked about it. Apple Podcasts has announced that they will be allowing us creators to have our video podcast versions, or the video versions of our podcasts, on their platform this coming spring. I can't wait until it's officially ready for you guys. And big shout out today to my girl Nyla Monroe. Her new album, Color Outside the Lines, it is available right now for streaming on any music platform you get your music from. We worked really hard on that album, about 8 songs. It's a nice little 30-minute listen. Her first debut R&B album from K.L.P. Music Group, featuring me, of course. Nyla Monroe's first debut album is available right now. You get your music from. So that's going to wrap it up here on our morning show. Stay tuned tomorrow, because we're going to come back here tomorrow with another exciting coffee talk presented and powered by Spotify. Big thank you to Shure for the new microphone for the studio, and we hope you guys have a good, fantastic rest of your day. Stay safe, stay warm, because it is colder than a witch's titty out there. And we'll catch you guys in tomorrow's episode. Again, peace, love, and respect from us and our entire cast and crew for K.L.P. Entertainment Filmworks Studios. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a great day.
We bring in good energy. This has been Coffee Talk, presented by Spotify. From our cast, we thank you for listening.
Yeah.